Imagine you're at a coffee shop deciding between a latte and a cappuccino. You weigh your options, consider your mood, and make a choice. Simple, right? But what if I told you that choice was an illusion?
An illusion? How so?
Well, some scientists and philosophers argue that free will doesn't really exist. They suggest that our decisions are the result of past experiences, brain chemistry, and a complex web of neural activity. Essentially, we're following a script written by the sum of our past.
So, you're saying we're like actors following a director's cues?
Exactly. And this brings us to the passive consciousness hypothesis. It suggests that we're merely observers of our thoughts and actions, not the authors.
Observers? That's a bit unsettling.
It is, isn't it? But it's also fascinating. Think about it. If we're not making choices, who or what is?
So, who's the puppet master then?
That's the million-dollar question. Some say it's the unconscious mind, others believe in a deterministic universe. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll explore these ideas one step at a time.
I guess I didn't really choose to be curious about this topic, huh?
Maybe not, but let's dive deeper and see where this rabbit hole leads us. Now, let's delve into the heart of the passive consciousness hypothesis. Imagine every thought and action as a marionette's dance with strings pulled by an unseen force.
A marionette? That's a bit eerie.
It is, but it's a fitting analogy. Our subconscious mind might be the puppeteer orchestrating our every move without us realizing it.
So, we're dancing to a tune we can't hear?
Precisely. Our conscious mind is just the audience, clapping along, thinking it's part of the show.
And here I thought I was the star of my own show.
We all do. But consider this, studies have shown that our brains make decisions before we're even aware of them. It's like our actions are on a delay, and our consciousness is just catching up.
Really? That's mind-blowing.
It challenges the very notion of free will. If our choices are made subconsciously, then free will might just be a comforting story we tell ourselves.
But if that's true, then what about responsibility? Morality?
Great questions. The implications are huge, from our legal system to personal relationships. It's a debate that's far from over.
So, what's the next step? How do we entangle these strings?
That's where the journey gets even more interesting. Let's explore the paths laid out by philosophy and science to see if we can find some answers. Let's wade into the waters of a timeless philosophical dilemma. If all our choices are predetermined, can we truly call them choices?
That sounds like a paradox.
It is. It's the classic debate of determinism versus free will. If the universe has already scripted every action, then the concept of morality, praise, and blame becomes questionable.
So, are we just going through the motions without any real control?
Some would argue yes. They say that if you rewound the universe and let it play out again, everything would happen in exactly the same way.
That's hard to swallow. What about our feelings of regret, pride, or guilt?
Those emotions imply that we had a choice to begin with. But if determinism is true, then those feelings are just part of the script too.
But doesn't that make life meaningless?
Not necessarily. It could mean that finding meaning is also part of the predetermined path. It's like a book. Knowing the ending doesn't make the story any less compelling.
I suppose it's about enjoying the journey, not just the destination.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Some philosophers propose compatibilism, the idea that free will and determinism are not mutually exclusive.
How does that work?
It suggests that our actions are both determined and free. It's like being on a train on fixed tracks, but inside that train, you're free to move around.
So, we're free within certain limits?
Precisely. We're bound by the laws of physics, yet within those bounds, we can make meaningful choices.
It's a comforting thought, but it still leaves room for debate.
And that's the beauty of philosophy. It opens doors to endless discussions and interpretations. Let's take a moment to share a personal story. I once had a friend. Let's call him Kenneth. Kenneth was a talented musician, always believed he was destined for greatness.
Sounds like a passionate guy.
He was, but here's the thing. Kenneth never made it big. He played in small bars, wrote dozens of songs, but fame eluded him.
That's tough.
But Kenneth had an epiphany. He realized that maybe his path wasn't to become a star, but to inspire others. One of his songs helped a listener through a tough time.
So, he found meaning in a place he didn't expect.
Exactly. This ties back to our discussion on free will. Kenneth felt like he had no control over his success, but he chose to find purpose in his journey, regardless of the destination.
It's like the universe had a different plan for him.
And that's the paradox of predetermination. We might not choose our path, but we can choose how we walk it.
It's a comforting thought, knowing that there's value in every road we take, even if it's not the one we expected.
That's the spirit. Our lives are full of these stories, where the unchosen path leads to unexpected treasures.
I guess it's about finding the silver lining, wherever you are.
Or the hidden melody in the cacophony of life. Have you ever had a day where everything goes wrong? You spill your coffee, miss the bus, and forget your keys?
Oh, more times than I'd like to admit.
Well, those days might just be the universe's way of saying, hey, you're not in charge.
So, the universe has a sense of humor?
It seems so. It's like we're characters in a cosmic sitcom, and every blunder is part of the script.
And let me guess, there's no laugh track?
Exactly. But here's the twist: every mistake, every stumble, might be leading us to something greater.
Like a blooper reel that turns into a highlight reel.
Our so-called errors could be the universe's breadcrumbs guiding us to our destiny.
That's a nice way to look at it. So, we just roll with the punches?
We roll, we tumble, and sometimes we land exactly where we need to be.
Even if it's face first?
Especially if it's face first. Because when you pick yourself up, you might just find the path you were meant to take.
Well, I'm ready to see where this path leads us next.
As we journey through the labyrinth of life, we encounter doors that lead to rooms filled with questions. One such room is labeled existence.
Existence? That's a big topic.
And within this room, there's a puzzle that's baffled minds for centuries. Why is there something rather than nothing?
It's the ultimate mystery, isn't it?
And it ties into our discussion on free will. If we're here by chance, then perhaps our choices are as random as the universe itself.
But if there's a reason for our existence, does that imply a grand design?
Possibly. And if there's a design, then maybe our choices have been etched into the cosmos from the beginning.
So, are we just living out a cosmic script?
Maybe. Or perhaps the script is being written as we go, with each choice a stroke of the cosmic pen.
That's a poetic way to put it.
Life is poetry in motion, after all. And every choice is a verse in the poem of existence.
It's a beautiful thought that our lives are stanzas in the universe's epic.
And whether we have free will or not, we're contributing to the story, one decision at a time.
I like the idea of being part of something bigger.
We all do. It gives a sense of purpose, a feeling that our choices matter in the grand scheme of things.
And maybe that's the point, to find meaning in the enigma of our existence.
Exactly. The search for meaning is perhaps the most human choice of all. As we reach the final chapter of our journey, let's consider the tapestry of time. Each thread represents a choice, a moment, a flicker of consciousness.
It's vast and intricate.
And if we look closely, we can see that some threads are golden, shimmering with the weight of pivotal moments.
Like milestones in our lives?
Births, loves, losses, each a golden thread woven into the fabric of our existence.
And the other threads?
They're the everyday choices, the seemingly mundane actions that fill the spaces between the gold.
But they're just as important, aren't they?
Absolutely. Without them, the tapestry would unravel. They give context to the golden moments, shaping the narrative of our lives.
So, free will or not, we're all weavers of this tapestry.
Yes, and perhaps the beauty of it lies not in the individual threads, but in the overall picture they create.
A picture that's unique to each of us.
And that's the final twist. Whether our choices are free or determined, they come together to tell a story only we can live.
And every story has its ups and downs, its twists and turns.
And as we add more threads, the story grows, evolves, and becomes something greater than the sum of its parts.
It's a never-ending story, isn't it?
And as we reach the end of this script, remember that the tapestry of your life is still being woven, moment by moment, choice by choice.
Then I'll make sure to weave it with intention, with passion, and maybe a little bit of mystery.
That's the spirit. And who knows? The choices we think are the most insignificant might just be the ones that shine the brightest in the end.
Hey Noah, why don't scientists trust atoms?
I'm not sure. Why?
Because they make up everything.
That's a good one. Even our discussion on free will is made up of atoms, huh?
Exactly, and you can't trust them to stick to the script.